guys, welcome to Random Thoughts Thursdays. My name is Maddie Kempf. Welcome to my channel if this is your first video you're watching, or welcome back. So I'm on the road today, but I am going to do a Random Thoughts Thursday video for you, and something I get asked about all the time is what it's like to cross the border with animals. So some of you know I'm Canadian and I spend a lot of time in the US and I come down here for a lot of rodeos. I'm also engaged to an American, so I come down to see my fiance quite a bit, but I also bring my horses, my dog, and my cat with me. So people ask me quite often about that, and I'm going to share with you kind of my, I don't know, I guess what you do need to do, what kind of papers you need, and sort of any tips and tricks I might have. Okay, so when you cross with horses, there's a couple things that you need, and these papers might look different depending if you have them done in the US or in Canada. So I'm going to show you what I have for papers and tell you what you're going to need. So a couple things that you do need, regardless of which country you're from or where you're crossing back and forth to, is you're going to need a Coggins test, and that will need to be negative. I've actually never heard of a horse testing positive on that test, but anyway, they need you to have a Coggins paper as well as a health check paper. So in Canada, our health check papers are valid for 30 days and our Coggins are valid for 6 months. However, the American Coggins are valid for a year. It's the same test. I don't understand what makes one valid for 6 months and one valid for a year. I don't know if that's a government thing or what, but it is what it is. I actually have an American Coggins right now, so I'm going to show you guys those forms. Okay, so this is my health certificate. I just have that covering up my address. But what it'll have is your name on it, your horse's name, and usually what I have them do is put the registered name for my horses, because that way it matches my horse's papers, which I have as just extra proof of the horse, and it's got my name on it, so that way it's just extra proof that I own this horse. So it's going to have your name, it's going to have the address of where you're going. What my vet office will do, because a lot of the times when I cross on a set of papers, I cross back and forth on them more than once. So they'll write the addresses, the extra ones, on the back side of this paper. So the address where you're going, it's going to have all your horse info, and it's stamped with the date as well. So date of inspection, you have 30 days from that day that these papers are valid. Okay, so same thing, just covering up my address. This is the Coggins form. Now, our Canadian Coggins form is a bigger piece of paper. It's like a big legal piece like the vet check is, but this is an American Coggins. And something that the Americans do that's different is they actually have real pictures of the horse versus drawings. But yeah, so you just are going to need a Coggins test. And like I said, the American one is valid for a year for whatever reason, and the Canadian ones are valid for 6 months. One more thing I forgot to mention. When you cross the border and you're going to get your health papers from the vet, make sure that you tell them if you're crossing temporary or permanent. So permanent is anything over 30 days. If you're going for 2 months, that's considered permanent. They check a different spot on the paper, and they do look at that at the border. So make sure that you tell your vet which one you need. And another thing I forgot to mention, if you are crossing permanently, so you're going maybe for the winter or a few months, you will need to see the federal vet at the border, and you do need to make an appointment for that. So make sure you get the right papers from your vet, and then make an appointment to see the federal vet as well if you're going permanently longer than 30 days. Okay, so one extra paper that we have in Canada that I don't think that the US does this, and I'm going to show you what it is. It's called a supplementary form. You will not have this if your horse is crossing permanently. So if you're going down for the winter or something like that, anything longer than 30 days is considered permanent. But if you are crossing back and forth temporary on less than 30 days, you're going to have a supplementary form as well. Okay, so this is your supplementary form. Yeah, you can see it's got Government of Canada here, so I don't think the US does this. But what you need to do is this will match your the number on your health certificate, and then you have the option of having it stamped when you cross it by the US side, or you can stop and run into the Canadian office and they can stamp it, but it does need to be stamped. And what this does is it's just extra proof, like, okay, this is the day that she crossed, and then when you cross back, you write your name, the date that you're crossing back, and sign it. So I always just write my name on there, so at least we know it's my paper, but I don't sign it or put the date on it until I cross back into Canada. Okay, so when you do cross back into Canada, they are going to keep a couple things. So they will keep that supplementary form. So you need to make sure that that is stamped, and they will keep it as well. Sometimes they'll take a copy. Now, the thing with crossing the border is there's a lot of inconsistency, but I find that generally when I cross down, the American side wants to keep a copy of my health forms, as well as when I come back, the Canadian side also wants a copy. So generally when you get your health forms from your vet, they will have copies made for you already. That is the best thing, because sometimes at the border they can be a little bit goofy about having to go in and make paper copies. I don't know if it's really busy and they just don't have the time to do it or whatever, but bring some copies with you. Okay, so crossing with a dog and a cat is actually really easy. You only need one thing, and that's a rabies certificate. So you'll have the rabies shot done by your vet, and then you need the vet to have, they'll know what to do. They'll print off a form and they'll sign it, and it just is validating that that animal has had their rabies shot. So for cats, dogs, that's all that they need. And to be honest, I always have it with me, but I've actually never been asked for anyone, no one's ever asked to see it. So I have asked, one time a guy said, do you have your paperwork for your dog? And I said, yes. And he said, okay, good. And he never asked to see it. He just wanted to know that I had it. So I don't know. So yeah, you can see it just has the animal on it, their birthday, whatever, and that they had the rabies vaccine done and then signed by the vet. Thanks for watching, you guys. I hope that was somewhat helpful. And if you do cross the border with your horses, best of luck to you. Like I said, I find they're generally pretty nice if you are nice to them and if you have all your correct paperwork. So if you have any questions, just ask your vet. Usually they'll know those things as well. But yeah, I hope this was helpful to you today. And if you guys are enjoying my videos, please subscribe to my channel.